All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AI Unlocked, the interactive skills building workshop for WCS and anyone who wants to join the party. Um, I'm joined by two amazing women who are going to be running this workshop in two separate sessions, and I'll walk you through the general structure a little bit. So we'll start with introductions. Then Katelyn Milinowicz, she's going to run the first half of the session, and we will have a Q&A bit after her section. So please submit your questions as the workshop is going in the chat box, and we'll have a volunteers on our side monitoring it so that we can curate it and present those questions to Caitlin towards the end. Then Chang will run the second half of the section, and we'll have a similar structure around Q&A, and then we'll wrap up. So one thing to note about today's workshop is that it's designed to be highly interactive. So please sit with your laptops and work through the different tools as they are showing them to you on the screen. That's the way this session has been designed. And hopefully you enjoy it. And with that, I will introduce Chang Xu. Chang is a personal friend of mine for over a decade. We've known each other for a very long time. She's a partner at Basis Set. And I brought her into this discussion today because she is looking at the space around AI-based applications, both as an investor, looking for good ideas, ideas that can scale, ideas that have legs, and also as a power user, as she's thinking about how to make herself productive and how to bring these tools into the organization to help automate workflows and processes and adopt these technologies. So Chang is going to be running the second half, and then Katelyn Milinowicz. Katelyn, I got to know through our very own Darlene Crane of WCS. I think many of you know her. Katelyn falls into a particular type of WCS leader that I've known all too often, someone who started their career in big tech and built those skills, built that knowledge base, and is looking to transition into mission-driven work around sustainability and clean tech and clean energy. So what better person to hear from who's been through this journey herself? And I am Sadia Raveendran. I'm WCS board member and Career Development Committee co-chair. I'll be moderating today's session. And I'm also the founding head of GTM at Hammerhead AI, which is a company that we actually launched yesterday. So thank you all for joining, and I will now turn it over to Katelyn.
Thank you so much, Sadia, and thank you to WCS and Chang as well for your collaboration. I'm super excited to be here. I'm just sharing my screen. Can everyone see that? Does that look good? Yes, great. Yes. So my three general goals for today are to discuss topics of everyday AI use. Also, I will go through a demo of an AI chatbot. We'll go through my personal workflow of like sort of vetting a job, an open job rec against my resume or a colleague's resume, or, you know, if I'm working with someone else. So we'll go through a little bit of that process. I will try to paste the prompts into the group chat if I can manage that, so that you can follow along if you'd like. And then the final goal for me today is to empower women as AI stakeholders. I think it's really important for women of our backgrounds and with our passions to inform the way the AI develops. Looking at how AI is working right now, businesses are implementing or are expected to implement AI into some degree of their operations by end of year, by 2025 end of year. That's 85% of businesses. So this is definitely a quickly growing skill set. And recent studies have shown that earnings boost can be as much as 56% with AI skills. And let me dance around my screen here. And the gender gap in AI usage is currently sitting at 25%, where women are 25% less likely than men to leverage generative AI in the workplace. To be clear, generative AI is any AI technology that creates content. It can create text, video, audio, pictures, but that's what we mean when we say generative AI. Before we dig in, I just want to highlight some common concerns and maybe identify that they shouldn't be concerns of yours at all. People in general, especially people further along in their careers who've had who've used historically the same tools over time, worry about a lack of technical background, have a limited time for learning new skills. And then there's concerns about where to start with AI or that it's too complex. I hope to show with this that it's very easy to get traction and bootstrap yourself in the use of AI for everyday topics. The reason you want to dig into AI as soon as you can is because we are moving very quickly. AI is quickly evolving, and it's becoming more commonplace in the workplace. So it may be missed opportunities. And my passion in particular is ensuring that there are less gender gaps as we move forward on this path with AI. So there are some things to consider. I think the first thing that I'd say with regard to these topics, which are pretty large topics, is that AI is very new. It is changing a lot of the way that we work. There are different regulatory issues in different countries. And so this is just an evolving thing. So what I'd like to do is identify some of the concerns that people have with AI and then sort of put them aside with the recognition that be informed about these concerns, but AI is evolving and a lot of people are working to deal with these concerns. I'm hoping some people in this group will be those people who work to resolve these concerns. So first is privacy. Privacy is really you are able to determine which tools you use to control your privacy. So you just need to feel empowered to know that if you have concerns about the content that you are working with, you want to make sure that you understand the way in which the platform you're working on works with your data. Similarly, intellectual property, you want to understand how the platform you're working on deals with intellectual property. I think this is a particular concern for artists, writers, and people who are creators of cultural value that want to make sure that their ownership of that value is maintained. So again, understanding the way that your platform works is going to be the way you get comfortable with using AI to deal with your own intellectual property. That is also not a requirement. You don't need to use AI to manage your intellectual property. You can use AI for other goals or problem solving. One that's close to my heart is environmental impact, and I've struggled a lot with this. Environmental impact there is environmental impact with AI, with the energy use and currently water use. But because AI is evolving so quickly and the energy industry is evolving so quickly, there are great hopes that AI will help to solve energy problems and also other environmental problems. So upskilling on AI and using AI and deciding to use AI to solve environmental problems can very much counteract and have much bigger impact, positive impact on environmental issues than the act of using AI would have a negative impact, if that makes sense. Then we have bias and fairness. AI uses the data that exists in the world to give you analysis. And because the data in the world is inherently biased, those biases will come through. I think the best thing to do at this stage, while developers are working on ways to decrease bias, is to be aware of where bias may crop up and look to mitigate it in how you use AI. And then finally, accuracy and hallucinations. I look at AI as a partner, as a brainstorming partner, a fallible brainstorming partner. So if there's any fact that I'm using, I make sure to fact check it. And you just want to make sure that it's a sort of trust by verify model. So that is the way that I work with AI. I'd love to hear any questions you guys have on these topics as we get into the Q&A, but that is a very, very quick summary of some of the meaty topics that exist currently. Okay, now we're going to move to a live example. I'm going to be using Claude. I encourage you to test different AI chatbots. AI chatbots run on GPTs, so you might hear them referred to as GPTs, and they're all evolving very quickly. So honestly, I just pay for a subscription for Claude because I got in early at Claude, and occasionally I review AI chatbot technology to see if I would like to switch, but for the most part, I use Claude unless it's missing a functionality I'm looking for on a particular day. So I will now exit the presentation and switch to my screen. This might be a little clunky. We'll see how it goes. Can everyone see? Let me bring you guys back up. Can people see my screen?
Yeah, we can see
the Claude. Okay, great. So Claude what's great about Claude and most of these AI chatbots is that they store previous conversations. So you can get back and consult and revisit topics that you've already discussed. I'm going to start a new one. So I'm going to click plus here. And then I'll just be moving back and forth between my, my pre-made prompts. Excuse me, and Claude. So my first prompt is going to describe how I want the AI chatbot to act. I'm telling it who it is. It's a skilled recruiter and career coach with 10 years experience in the sustainability space and a reputation for frank talk. I'm giving it personality attributes. I don't want it to, I don't want it to be soft talking to me. I want it to be firm, tell me what the deal is. I'm telling it now that I'm going to give it some documents and that it's going to advise me on how it feels I should apply, if it feels I should apply for the following job with the following resume. Claude can be wordy, so I asked to provide a brief TLDR at the end of the response. Now I'm attaching 2 documents. And this is the job description and a fake resume. It's going to get a little specific about the name on the resume, Diana. So this does take about a minute to process, I believe. So this is a very standard template that I use where you provide context or you provide a character or a role for AI to play. And then you tell it the information you're going to give it and often give it some personality traits if that is warranted. So this gives a summary of both the of how good the applicant is for the role. and the problems that the applicant might face. So what is interesting to note is I've done this particular thing multiple times, and each time is a new conversation. So I've always gotten this gray area response from Claude, but the actual words of the response are different. So you will not be able to reproduce this exact response the next time you put this input in. Just so that you're aware. That's why it's great you have these conversations stored for you. And finally, the TLDR. You do have relevant sector experience, but lack the project management credentials. So regardless of, in this hypothetical situation, regardless of what Claude said, the applicant has decided to apply. So I'm going to prompt again. And just ask it to go into more detail on the top strength and top weakness. And this is one of the things that I would encourage you to do is question AI, ask it why it's doing things, ask it to go into more detail. I ask AI if it's biased. I correct AI sometimes, you know. So AI, one of the wonderful things about working with AI is it doesn't have feelings. So you can correct it, challenge it, and really get to the meat of an issue with it. And that's, I find that very powerful. So you can see it's delivered. I'm not going to get into the details of this applicant, but it has summarized top strength and gone into some depth there, also top weakness. I should say I've limited the response to 2 sentences for each because it was giving me quite a breakdown of the top strength and weakness. You can use this for an ego boost if you want to help pump you up to apply for a role. Definitely use it as you see fit. So now I'm going to make my resume work for the role. So you can see here, I've asked for just 2 succinct recommendations to customize my resume. I should state that the resume that I gave it was a simple text resume, so the formatting was terrible. So now you have 2 recommendations. But I don't really want to go through the process of figuring out those recommendations and putting everything in my own words. I want to see a rough draft from Claude. So I'm going to ask Claude to rewrite my resume using these recommendations formatted for Word. Now, this will take a bit, but it will produce a Word document with decent formatting. I would certainly not advise you to send that out straight away, but it's a wonderful place to start with. I feel like especially when we're talking about ourselves, we can be staring at a blank screen for a long time. It's really hard to bootstrap that activity. And having a rough draft that's created from documents that you've given it prior is a really helpful start. So what it's saying right now is it's actually going through the documentation for Word to find how to technically create Word documents. And to be honest, this is taking a tiny bit longer than it did last time.
These are standard demo things.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, so this will go on for a bit. Let me see if I How are we on time, Sadia? I have two more
We're good.
prompts.
We're good.
Okay,
Good. Yeah.
great. I'm just gonna let this run. I find this fascinating. So I've also done some vibe coding, which is using AI to actually code functionality. And you can see some of the sort of like functionality for how Claude deals with code. I tend to use another, it's more of like a code management AI to do vibe coding, but it's great, I think, to see AI work with code.
All right. Katelyn, I'll just jump in here. So, folks, the format of today's workshop is that you submit questions in the chat section, and at the end of Katelyn's session, we will curate the questions and present them to her, and we'll also give folks an opportunity to jump in at the end of that. So please do submit your questions as they come up in the chat box. Thank you.
And also, we do have a leave behind, and I can add, I realize I'm not giving you guys these prompts. I can add this list of prompts to that leave behind. Just so, but I also encourage you to write your own prompts and really like brainstorm and work with your goals. So here you have the resulting resume. Again, not something to send off without looking at very closely, but a great start. And I think most people, it would take quite a while to put this together in a formatted way. So then I want to write a cover letter. Luckily, I know one of the guys at the company, so I'm going to shape the cover letter. I'm going to say draft a 3-paragraph cover letter to Bob Smith, a close business contact at ABC. That's the company who's interviewing. I know him, so I'm asking for it to be written with a friendly tone. And then I'm also asking them to provide a brief outline to summarize it. I want to see what AI's thinking was. I'm going to attach I just copied and pasted Bob's LinkedIn profile. And then I didn't have this in any particular format, so it's just going to give me text. So I have that. I can send that off. And this is summarizing kind of how Claude organized the 3 paragraphs that I requested. And finally, I got the interview. So now I'm interviewing with Bob Smith. I want some tips. What do I say? What will he ask me? What should I ask him? Oh, I attached the LinkedIn to the wrong question. I probably could have also told it that I attached it previously. So now, while this is the last point of this demo, I usually dig in a lot deeper with these things. With these questions, I might ask why Claude thinks Bob would dig into certain areas, what other areas they might dig into. I might ask, is now the right time to talk about package, or office location, things like that. And all of this is just one input. You obviously have friends and everything, but this is a way for you to vet out your approach without really dealing with the judgment of others or the stress of talking through this with a live person. This is like a judgment-free zone. So a really great opportunity for you to exercise your like innermost thoughts and figure out where you stand. I've also used Claude to do things like I had it make a career matrix of all the different paths I was looking at. I used it in doing a real estate negotiation. I've used it I put my inspection document in and came up with a home improvement plan. So there's really tons of day-to-day use for Claude that can help you to build your knowledge and your comfort working with AI chatbots. And I keep on saying Claude, but you should use the chatbot that you're most comfortable with after looking through the way that those platforms treat your data. With that, I'm just going to exit and kind of summarize what we talked about from a prompting perspective. Okay, did that switch happen for everyone?
Not yet. It's loading.
Okay.
Yeah, now you can see it.
Great, thanks. So the prompt tips that I generally use for myself is design your helper. Before asking AI a question, ask yourself what context you want AI to come from. Give it a background, give it experience, and let it know how it's supposed to relate to you. Describe your context. Typically, if we were in a longer demo, I would go into sort of my background, the background that Sadia described, where I was in big tech looking to transition, and that would color the responses from Claude or whichever chatbot you decide to use. I love adding personality traits. I've accidentally had AI swear at me before. It is like you can add personality traits that that maybe softens the blow if you're asking hard questions. If you know, for example, you're not right for a position, but you want to be built up, and you want a more affirmative interaction. So yeah, AI doesn't need to decide how it deals with you. You decide how AI deals with you. And also, I always advocate to ask AI about itself. What are its biases? Where did it get that information? That sort of thing. Realizing that AI is just like a feedback loop with a lot of the world's data at its hands is great. And I think when you ask AI questions about itself, it really reinforces that. That is all that I had.
All right. So, Caitlin, I think we can leave this slide on
Okay.
as you answer the questions. So I'll address the first one. So we will be sharing slides and a 2 to 3 pager leave behind with all participants. And we will also share the list of prompts that Caitlin walked through during the first half of this session. So that content will be made available to everyone who registered. So the next one for you, Caitlin, are there specific platforms that are geared towards maintaining confidentiality and keeping our IP local? That is, not making the information available on the internet to be scraped by others. Is this a question of paid versus free? Could you talk through that?
Yeah, so I'm going to speak generally, and I just encourage you to read like the terms and conditions of whichever platform you're using. I have seen there be a difference between paid and free. In the leave behind, I mentioned two platforms that are more eco-friendly and I would say more eco-aware, and also allow private use of their AI. So when you use AI, you're basically using a collection of data that's usually been frozen in time. And it's not true necessarily that when you ask a question or put your data in, that it's going into that model. That would be where it's taking your data to train the model further. I would gather that most free services are taking your data and using it to train the model further or using it for some other purpose. That's why they're free. But when you use AI privately, when you use a private instance, then you're getting all that data, but the interaction that you have in the data that you provide does not leave your instance. And you'll see this referenced in the leave behind in one of the models. Also, when AI runs in the EU, because the EU has GDPR, there's a lot more privacy rules in place. When you think about the whole world regulating AI, Europe is probably leading the way because of GDPR. So when you see platforms that follow EU rules globally, that should be an indication of safety. Again, look at all the information, but in my mind, that would be a green flag if they're operating in the EU.
The next one for you, Katelyn. Is there a preference for using Sonnet 4.5 versus other model versions for this use case? And I think just more broadly, how do you think about model evolution and this particular type of use case?
Yes. I have to say, it might be because I am lazy, but I just use the most current version unless I am trying to do something very specific. So for instance, I've tried editing images, and I've had to look around for that. But there's such rapid iteration around these models that I usually just make sure that I have the most recent version and leverage that. Nothing I do, if I were a specialist, so if I were doing research science, for example, I would certainly be up to date on which models have that information when they last pulled, like sort of when the training was last done, because we want to take recency into account. But for my use cases, like, please look at my inspection report for my house, there's not going to be a real recency factor. So I would say if you're having trouble doing something in the model that you use as your default, explore around. There's probably another model that does it better. If you're doing specialist work where there's data that is maybe non-general is the best way to say it, look, maybe, I mean, you can ask your AI. You can ask your AI how current its data on whatever COVID-19 research is, yeah, when in doubt, I think ask AI. But I don't go back and forth a lot because of the use cases that I typically use AI for.
Got it. And maybe just a follow on to that, because you were kind of talking, you alluded to it in your response. Is there a way to know which one is best for different tasks, like technical problem solving versus redrafting? Like which type of model or which type of tool?
Yeah, I would. So for what you said, technical problem solving or like content drafting. What was the other one?
Yeah, technical problem solving versus content drafting.
Yeah, so for content drafting, like as a copywriter kind of thing, I would imagine, or like I would not imagine there's a distinction between I think at this point, content drafting is base level for all of the sort of generally available chatbots. I would say, ask AI, or there are some matrices out there that compare different use cases for different chatbots or AI technologies. But everything is changing so quickly that I don't want to give you like a resource because it's just like such an evolving ecosystem. So in my mind, the best way to look for the best performer is to identify clearly your use case and maybe ask a few chatbots what they recommend. You can do that for free. You don't need subscriptions for all chatbots. You'll just get cut off at a certain point. I think it's usually a daily rate of like a certain number of transactions.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right. So what I'm going to do now, Caitlin, because I think we will move on from this section now and then come back to the list of questions that folks have been entering after Chang's section as well. So please keep your questions coming in. I just want to make sure we're sticking to time. And
Great.
that, Caitlin, if you could stop sharing, and Chang, if you
Sure.
could.
Thank you so much, everybody. And please feel free to connect. I'll drop my LinkedIn in the chat as well.
All right.
Hi everyone, very excited to do this. Um, I I'm very excited to be here and to I love AI tools. I play with them all day long. I invest in them and also I build with them actively. I try to stay up to date with the latest and greatest, and I think it's just so much fun. Um, I think in preparing this workshop, I thought it would be most helpful to talk through how I use several tools so that you can get a flavor of what different tools could be good fit for. And so here um, I have one example use case, which is how to become a climate thought leader with AI the lazy way. And through this narrative, I will walk through how I use four tools in order to achieve this thought leadership. Cool. So here are the four tools I'm going to walk through today: ChatGPT, Notebook LM, Cloud Chrome extension, and Sora. So everyone here knows a lot more about climate and sustainability than I do. But what if I wanted to get up to speed super quickly and to market myself as a thought leader in this space? I might start with ChatGPT. And I saw that there was a previous question. Oh, actually, I saw that there was a previous question about how to have your data stay with you and not to have your company have ChatGPT, have OpenAI train on it. Oftentimes, there's a settings where you can go to the data controls and then you can just turn it off, improve the model for everyone. And if you turn it on, then that means OpenAI can train on your data. If you turn it off, then they can't, or they shouldn't. Okay.
And Chang, sorry,
So
this setting is independent of whether it's free or paid.
I have a paid account. I don't
Okay.
know if this is the same setting in free accounts.
Okay. We
Yeah.
can
And it
explore
is,
that a bit.
yeah, I can definitely explore that. And you
Yeah.
can also explore the similar setting on Claude. I know Claude has a similar setting where you can
Okay.
turn it on. Do you want to improve the model for everyone? Or do you not? Um, so ChatGPT, okay, what do I start? If I want to learn about what's happening in climate, I might ask, what reports provide data on the impact of foundation models, oh, data centers, and AI inference on energy and the climate? And here, I will just turn on thinking and I'll talk about it while it does the thinking. So there's different models that you can use. OpenAI's ChatGPT uses OpenAI's models, and the current set of models is depends on it delineates between how much you want it to think. And sometimes you want the answer right away, and that will be selecting instant. And sometimes you want it to think a lot. And this is the question I don't want to answer right away. I want ChatGPT to go to the internet and find me the best resources. I don't want it just to tell me what's in its brain, what's in its training. I want sources that it finds. So here I choose the thinking model, which says thinks longer for better answers. And then it's going to do this for a minute or a few minutes and give me that answer. And sometimes I think, okay, OpenAI, you can decide, ChatGPT, you can decide how long you want to think, and I can choose the auto model, and that will be the the quickest for any task. Another thing that I've noticed between the instant and the thinking model is, and this was one of the questions previously, which is what are each model good at? Instant model tends to be a little bit better at writing. Thinking model, because it thinks a little too much, it's actually not as good at writing. You can see the output, just give the same prompt, say, write me an email. write me an article, write me a blog, write me like a biography for myself. And you can see, give it to instant, give it to thinking, and see which one gives you the tone and the style that you want. Sometimes I've found that instant does better. So it's not necessarily true that thinking is always better, that more thinking is always better. But thinking is definitely better for tasks like this one. And then you see that there's a couple models that are great. The research GPT-5 Pro model that says research grade intelligence grayed out for me because I have used too much of it this month, and my limit will reset on November 27th. This is really good for extremely complex questions. Like I used it a lot when I was debating something about my legal contract, where it will think through multiple angles, and I keep layering on, what about this? What about this? And what about the real world implications? And it takes a really long time for Pro to give you a response, but it's a really excellent thought partner when you're asking a question that's like pretty nuanced. If you pay for higher tiers of ChatGPT, then you have more allocation of how many Pro queries you can do per month. But I didn't. Okay, so it's giving me the response. This is great. So it's giving a bunch of reports from 2025, 2024, 2025. And then here you see that it's also giving you sources. So what I really want to do is I want to just like look at the source. Let's look at the source. Cool. So it looks like a pretty legit report. So let's explore the report. That's cool. Okay. I'm wondering if there's a PDF. Great, there's a PDF. And now I have a PDF of this report, which is great. And then I can keep doing this for the other reports that I see. This one looks real. This one looks real. Let's look real. I'll just open all of them. And don't worry, I'm not going to make you all read all of these. We're going to have AI do that. Oh, let's try to save a page. Interesting. And let's just open it. Great. And all right, that's a lot of sources. And it'd take a lot of time to read all these sources. So I'm hoping I can just, okay, I guess I'll download it. I'm hoping I can just read it. Okay, great. This one opened as a PDF. This one opened as a PDF. This one, where's the report? Here's the report. Download free PDF. All right, you get the idea. Oh, okay. Have to log in. You get the idea. And now there's a lot of PDFs, but I don't have time to read all those PDFs. What I can do is I can use another tool called Notebook LM, which is very good for reading through very long documents. So here I will you create a new notebook. Let me call it AI and sustainability, just so I can find it. And then you can add sources to it. And it will take PDFs, but it will also take, so you can just drag and drop any PDFs that you've downloaded. So here I've downloaded one, so I'm going to drag it in. But you can also just take a list of website links. And here I could go through this and I can copy a website link and I can add it to my notebook column, or I can have AI do that. So in this case, I'm going to use Chrome extension for Claude, where if you have a paid version of Claude and you get on the waitlist, you can have Claude in your Chrome. But alternatives for this would be Perplexity Comet, ChatGPT Atlas, Dia. So I'm sure there will be more and more AI-powered browsers going forward. So there's many options if you want to have your browser to also have an AI agent in it. So you can go to Chrome for Claude. You can add to Chrome. So I've already added it, and it's here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the first PDF page, and then I'm going to say, when I click the extension, the way that the Claude Chrome extension works is it will create a tab group, and it can access any of the links you put in that group. So I can drag to have more links in this group. And I'll just put all the PDFs I was looking at into this group. More PDF. So, okay, now that I'm here, I can then interact with it and I say, Great. Open chat. I can say, get a list of the URLs in this tab group. Because that's what I need at the end of the day for Notebook LM. Where did my Notebook LM go? This one. Right. So here I need a list of URLs to paste. So I go back to Claude and I say, get a list of URLs in this tab group. No bullets, just the URLs. And then it's going to give me a list. Now I have a list. And I can copy it. It's giving me a little trouble, so I'll copy it twice. I'll copy the other ones. It's okay if you, I don't know why it's giving me trouble.
Yeah, that's strange.
Very weird. Okay, all right, there we go. Copy it twice, and I say insert, and it's gonna go through and just insert all the PDFs. And in the meantime, I can choose to do some more, but you get the idea. So I will just close out this group and close out these PDFs. And to further demonstrate, for Notebook LM, you can also take YouTube links. So maybe there are some really excellent, talks that you don't have time to watch, but you also want Notebook LM to incorporate that into the data. So I can say, go back to ChatGPT thinking and say, what about excellent talks or YouTube videos on this topic? And it's going to go like search. In the meantime, I can talk about Notebook LM a little bit. So what is Notebook LM? Notebook LM, this looks like a ChatGPT, looks like a Claude, but it's different in a few different ways. One is that it allows you to chat with what is called source-grounded networks, source-grounded notebooks. So every time I ask a question in ChatGPT, you saw that what's happening is it's going out to the internet to find the answer, or it's using the model's intrinsic knowledge to give you an answer. But what Notebook LM does is it will look at the sources you gave it to find you the answer. So if you want to give it like a textbook, or if you want to give it lecture notes, or if you want to give it like a YouTube link, it will find the exact spot in that YouTube link and exact spot in your textbook. And this is very, very powerful because it's just very, very different feature. Sometimes I want the internet. Sometimes I want you to look in this 100-page PDF that I don't have time to read. And the second thing that's really unique about Notebook LM is long context windows. Some of these PDFs might be like 100 pages. If you were to upload that to a ChatGPT, they will say, oh, this file is too large, there's too many pages, I can't process it. But one thing that's unique about the Gemini model is that it can take the entire book, and it can take many PDFs. On the free tier, so I don't pay Notebook LM anything. On the free tier, it can take 50 sources, and each source can be like, I think, hundreds of megabytes. You need to fact check me. And that's just incredibly powerful. And so with this, let's see. I will also show you how it can just take YouTube videos too. So here I found some YouTube videos, 40-minute talk, 12-minute talk. This sounds great. And I'll do the same thing. Actually, I can't do the same thing because Notebook LM unfortunately only takes YouTube videos one at a time. So we're going to do it one at a time and not use AI for this. Add a source. All right. Okay, I'll add another one. And great. I'll just stop right here. And then what I like to do with Notebook LM is, okay, I've uploaded a lot of stuff, so I want to know what's in it. And they have a bunch of pre-made prompts you can use. One thing that I like to do is I like to click on the report, and I like to create a briefing doc. So briefing doc is an overview of resources featuring key insights and quotes. So just click on it, I let it run. It will take some time, and we can talk about the rest of Notebook LM. Sometimes it has issue with a particular source. You can try it again. You can download it. You can upload it and just try and see if it takes it. If not, then You can remove the failed sources. They've also recently added a research feature for you to discover more sources. So they have a fast research and a deep research, where if you have a particular topic you care about, in this case, AI sustainability, then you can search for more sources. So here, maybe I'll say, what other sources? Well, actually, I can give you the same prompt that I gave to ChatGPT earlier and say, what reports provide data on the impact of financial models? And you can toggle between fast and deep. Deep take quite a long time, so we'll just do fast for now. And you can have a search. And this can allow NotebookLM to identify what other sources you should bring into your notebook to give you a fuller knowledge. Great. So we found some sources. You can just say import. You can look at all the sources if you want. You can choose which ones you want to import, and you can import them, and they all get imported here. Now that this is a notebook with a lot of information about AI sustainability. And another, there's a couple other cool features. Okay, so the briefing doc is done. Now we can read on what's actually in all these sources that we just incorporated. It only includes the first 10 or so, dozen or so that we've added. It doesn't include the latest one because that was run after the query. But you have an executive summary, you have immediate societal impacts, you have something like algorithmic bias. Here is some projections about the energy environmental footprint of AI infrastructure, carbon emission studies, supply chain infrastructure challenges, AI as a tool energy system. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. And then you can also ask it questions. You can ask it, okay, so I'm interested in, like, what's interesting? Key application areas for innovation. Maybe I want to learn more about solar. Tell me more about solar PV as an area for innovation. And it will give you source grounded, it will tell you just what is in the sources you gave it. It will not go out to the internet. And you can chat with it just like you can chat with ChatGPT and Claude. So now I have this. Okay, how do I become a thought leader? What can I do? So I have all of this, then I can say, let's copy all this content. Let's go back to ChatGPT and let's say, okay, I'm gonna first paste it here, and it's all this information. I'll say based on, I'll type on top of it a prompt. Based on this information, what are some variations of LinkedIn posts that I can do that would be engaging? Propose different variations. And one thing I noticed is that when you ask AI to write for you, it likes to add a lot of M dashes. And AI likes to add M dashes more than humans like to add M dashes. And it's a telltale sign that an AI wrote it. So I like to say, do not use M dashes in caps, just for emphasis. And so I accidentally used a thinking model. Maybe I should stop. Actually, you know what? Let's see what thinking model gets you. Continue. And then we can try the instant model and see that what gets you. It should work, right? Well, we'll see. Okay. In the meantime, we can go back to NotebookLM. Yeah, great. Okay, it's thinking. NotebookLM, and I can show you some of the other features that it has. For some of you, maybe you like podcasts. And what's really awesome is maybe you have a commute and you can ask NotebookLM to generate you an audio interview. And they're essentially generating a podcast for you on demand that talks about the key insights from all these reports. So some of my friends, they like to create a notebook on NotebookLM during the day with what they're learning about, what they're investigating, and then ask it to create a podcast. So then on their commute, they'll listen to this podcast. And it's quite pleasant. You can set it up to be two people, like having a conversation, talking about this topic. And then now, or maybe you're running or running errands, and you can listen to the podcast and learn. And the other thing that NotebookLM does that I like is the video overview. So you can also set it to generate a video presentation for you. And it will do that. It'll generate a fully illustrated presentation. Once all of these generate, I'll give you a flavor It takes some time. Okay, so now this is ChatGPT's version of the several LinkedIn posts that you can post. We can, after this is done, I'll ask it to try again with a non-thinking model and see if we like the writing better. Let's see. Is AI a climate problem or a climate solution? Right now, it is both. On one side, electricity use could double. The data centers already emit this much. The average carbon intensity is this much. On the other side, existing AI infra could cut energy use. AI can help unlock. The net impact to not be decided by side. It won't be decided by. Like, okay, this is interesting. Your chatbot has a zip code. We talk about AI as if it lives in the cloud. It does not. It lives in very specific places and very specific grids. And here are the states. This is kind of cool. Here are the states that the data centers are more in. Here's all the stats about CO2 emissions. Some policy question. Okay, this is interesting. So they wrote seven versions. Let's try it again with the instant model. Okay, try again. Just do 4 versions. Make the each 400 words. In the meantime, so see, instant is very fast. It immediately gives you something. It does not think at all. And well, that is way too long of a paragraph for LinkedIn. No one's going to read a paragraph this long. I guess 400 words is quite a long. Okay. This is like a full blog. You can also just stop it and say, I was wrong, make it 250 words. Also, don't have long blobs of text. That doesn't work for LinkedIn. You can have a conversation with it and give it feedback. See what it comes up to. AI is reshaping the energy system faster than most people realize. The load is real. Opportunity is also real. The real question, this is actually pretty good. You know, this is better than the previous iterations. The physical reality of AI. Okay, you get the idea. In the meantime, let's see if this is done. Nope, still taking time. Do we have one that we like?
I like the first one.
You like the first one? Okay. All right, let's go with the first
Even
one.
the physical reality of AI is interesting. Yeah.
Look at the numbers. Data center demand could double by 2030. Why this matters. AI could be the biggest energy efficiency tool we have. AI energy, the risk of getting balance wrong. Okay, great. Okay, let's start with the first one. So we like the first one. Now we have LinkedIn posts, and you know that LinkedIn does really well with visuals. So the next thing I'm going to do is I want to have an image accompanying this. And for that, I'm going to use Sora. Sora is an OpenAI product. I use it for some event visuals, and it will take a prompt and it will generate you a image or a video. In this case, I'm going to have it generate a image. But I don't want to think about how to write the prompt. Instead, I'm going to say for version 1, let's see, write several variations of prompts for Sora for accompanying illustrations. See if it's done yet. Oh, okay. The podcast is done. Let's listen to it. Can you all hear?
No.
No. Okay. That didn't work. But it's a nice podcast. You can all try it. Okay. Okay. In the meantime, it is coming up with some Sora prompts. Let's see which ones do we like. A split screen scene showing 2 futures. On the left, massive data center growing with intense heat and energy used under a hazy sky. On the right, AI operates inside a clean, modern control room optimizing across the grid or solar farms. High detail, photorealistic cinematic lighting. Sure. Do you have one that we want to try? Or just pick a random number?
Yeah.
Huh?
You should pick based on your experience using these tools.
All right. Sharp technical style, semi-realistic UI elements, clean, optimistic, futuristic. Sure, let's try this one. I like clean, optimistic, realistic. Okay, so that's the prompt. And do I want a square? I think LinkedIn's usually horizontal. Actually, let's do square. And then this is how many images you want. Oh, they grayed out 4. Okay, I can only do 2. Let's do 2 images. And then we wait for it to generate. It's added to the queue. It would take a few minutes. And the video interview is still generating. All right, we can talk about Sora. So Sora is one of the many places you can do text to image or text to video. There are many other tools. Sora is good at certain style. If you have different use cases, you can try other tools. And in our leave behind, I'll have some other options. So some other tools you might consider are like OpenArt. OpenArt, you can one-click generate a music video. You can one-click generate a video. You can train a character. Or Viscom if you are like an industrial designer, or Rev, which is a fast foundation model for marketing or graphic design or creative use cases. There are many, many, many of them. Full disclosure, we invested in the 3 that I mentioned. We did not invest in OpenAI, unfortunately. But there are many, and you can try them to see which one will generate your prompt and get what you have in your mind the best down on paper. So while it's generating that, then next step is to post on LinkedIn. So here you can go to LinkedIn, you can post, and you have the text. Oh, you have your text here from the ChatGPT. What do you say? We like this one. We like this one. So I'm going to do this. And you have to fix the formatting a little bit. The copy paste always doesn't work that well. And then you get your images on Sora that will wait a few more moments to get. And you have a post. Looks okay. Yeah, so you just save the image. Save the image. And then you can add it. There we go. Rinse and repeat. Now you're a climate influencer. If we have time, we can, how are we doing on time? I can go a little bit longer or I can stop right here.
Oh, we have 20 more minutes, so please go ahead.
Okay,
I think we want to leave a good 10, 15 minutes towards the end because there are a whole bunch of questions, Chang, that you're very uniquely positioned to answer. So maybe 5 more minutes and then
Okay, yeah, let's do 5 more minutes so we can keep going for just a little bit. Okay, this is taking a really long time. So other things that I like doing is generating system prompts. So here you see it doing like one time and I had to iterate with it a few times to get the exact tone that I want. So what if you have posts that you've already written that you want it to sound like those posts? So I'm going to pull up some links that I liked and have it generate system prompt. So here's a LinkedIn post that I like. And you can pick any post, any article, and I will just say, I like the tone and style of the following 2 LinkedIn posts. Write a system prompt to generate LinkedIn post in this style. Make it generalizable so that I can provide any content, not just the specific types of content. And I like to say, actually, I'll do this next. And the reason I add the last line, make it generalizable, is otherwise I notice that when it generates system prompts, it might over anchor on the exact use case that you gave it. It might, the words and specific story that's shown here might just leak in. And that's why I add the generalizable sign. So here, I'm going to copy this post. and say, this is post 1 that I like. And then here I'm going to copy the second post and say, this is post number 2 that I like. Oh, this is not the end. Post 2. Okay. And then last thing I was going to add is output in markdown code block. And I'll show you why I do that. Oh, probably should do some thinking. Let's see what comes up with. So this is a markdown code block. And the reason is because when you copy this to actually create the system prompt, it doesn't do formatting. So markdown in the code block means that this is all going to be text and you have to do very little work when you create formatting. So here I'm going to say LinkedIn writer, create a project. And in the project, you can, in top right, you can click and you say add instructions. And here you just copy paste the system prompt that you just created. And now you can ask it to write. So in this case, might be, in this case, I'll go back to this notebook and I will go back to my briefing document. I'll go back and copy this. And now I just copy the whole content. I don't have to say anything about write me a LinkedIn post, write me whatever. I just hit send. And it will know, because I've given it the instructions to write a LinkedIn post in this style, it'll write that. And it'll write it in a very different style than what we saw before, because now it's following these two examples. And let's just do a final thing, which is check to see if the video is ready. It is still not ready. All right, it's very exciting. You all have to see it a little bit later. Okay, I think we can wrap here.
All right, awesome. So I think the interesting part about your specific section, Chang, which I haven't done enough of, I have to be honest, is to use Chat GPT or like any kind of tool to actually help you generate the prompts that you can then feed back into different tools, right? So that's sort of, and not having to spend the time to even think about the prompts themselves. I think that's quite useful. So thank you for that.
This is why it's the lazy way.
All right, so I'm going to go through. So I think earlier you had a comment about the models and how they use the information in terms of when the training was done, etc. Can you share what you know based on your usage of tools?
Yeah. When ChatGPT first came out a couple years ago, you very often saw in the responses, oh, because my data cutoff was before June 2020, I don't know anything newer. But models over the past year have changed a lot. And they have changed to this architecture where, first of all, they are more frequently updating the training corpus. So it's more fresh data. So that's absolutely the case. But the second thing they added is what you saw here when we first were talking about the when I was first asking it about what are the sources for energy, it was going out to the internet to search. So it added the tool to be able to go out to internet to do web search, and that and any model or any model with that capability can effectively find the newest information. And so nowadays with ChatGPT, with Claude, with any of the frontier models, it's no longer really big concern how fresh the data is, as long as you allow it to do this web search in order to go find the latest data for you.
Got it. I think there was one about, this one you will love. Using AI to review pitch decks and give me feedback. Which agent is best at that? Considering your own work.
Yeah. ChatGPT out of the box is pretty good at that. You can just upload a PDF and ask it for feedback. And then as for what kind of feedback, then you might want to guide it a little bit. You might want to, depends on what information you have. You might want to create a system prompt that can tailor the feedback. Do you want design feedback? Do you want the like competitive feedback? Do you want presentation feedback? Do you want communication feedback? Like what kind of feedback do you want? You can tailor that in the prompt. You can also give it examples of feedback from other decks that you like and ask it to create a system prompt that gives you the type of feedback that you want. You can uh, you can ask ChatGPT, what kind of feedback do you think is good? There's a lot of ways for you to tweak the prompts for you to get the type of feedback that you want. We for our work purposes, I've built a number of agents that review information such as pitch decks, and it will do research on the internet, and then it will give certain types of feedback, and that's tailored to use cases that I have at work.
Awesome. So there were a couple of questions around primary sources versus already summarized information and how some of these tools pull from summaries rather than the original source. Does Notebook LM have the same bias to already summarized information, or how do you correct for this issue?
Notebook LM is very different in that it's very source grounded. So it is very unique in that it should be pulling from like the full source that you give it. If it can't be like super large, but it handles a very, very large source. Other models are more primed to summarize and to act on summaries.
All right. And then I think you covered this in the beginning of your presentation, but maybe for the sake of repetition, how can you prompt Notebook LM or any other tool to show a broader set of links in the first round of research?
You can tell it. You can say, well, these links are too, I don't know, EU bias, and I want more US perspective. And you can just tell it, find more US perspectives. Or I see some May 2024. I only want stuff that's in the past 6 months. Only find me things in the past 6 months. And you can tell it, oh, okay, actually, I care more about like Asia, or I care more about this particular topic, or I care more about maybe it's not official reports, but from like private individuals, like writing blogs or articles. You can tell it, and then it will go out and search. And then you can also try it with, so Notebook LM has a fast research and deep research. You can also try that, see if you get different responses and see if you get different quality responses than what you get with the ChatGPT. And after you've done this a few times, then you kind of have a sense of what is the limitation of this particular tool and what is it strong at, what is it not strong at.
Got it. And there was a comment about how Sora is not available in the UK yet, I assume for the GDPR rules that Katelyn was talking about earlier. So to do the kind of image generation, etc., would that need to be, how would
You can
you address?
you
Yeah.
can use any of our other portfolio companies. Very shameless plug, but there's also many others, and these are pretty cool though. Uh, OpenArt, very easy. Also, it's text to video, text to text to image, text. I'm sure this is available everywhere. Rev, it's also text to image, and each one have their own pros and cons, and might work better for your use case or might not work as well for your use case. So with image and video, because it's so subjective, and what a creative has in their mind, it's very different, right? Like, and I think the quality bar for measuring AI image, AI video is how well can this model generate exactly what you have on your mind, and that's like pretty different. So with that, you just have to try different tools. Viscom, for example, is tuned a lot for physical products, so it's very good for designing physical products. Um, Opener has a lot of anime and like other styles, cat videos, cartoons. And Rev is a lot of it's tuned on photorealistic, on cinematic styles, and there's of course like also Midjourney and dozens of places you can try.
Got it. Can you compare projects with custom GPTs?
Custom GPTs, I've also created them. Projects only let you add a system instruction. It does not, I don't think it lets you add tools, but let's find out. So let's look at this project. Does it let you add tools? Project settings. I think you can only add system instruction. And then GPTs, however, you can add more than system instruction. But it very quickly veers not from the very easy to use, and you have to be a little bit more technical and play with a little bit more. Like GPTs, for example, allows you to ground it on certain set of files. Projects might also let you do that, but GPT also let you call an API and call other tools, which projects don't let you. So it's GPT is a slightly more difficult, but perhaps slightly more powerful version of projects. I think that's probably the short way to answer it.
All right. So I'm now going to turn it to the audience. If you could, folks have any questions that haven't been covered, if you could raise your hand and then we'll call on you. And then we'll do that for the next 5-ish minutes before we wrap up. And if folks don't have questions, then I'm just going to jump back into the chat and then continue there. All right, let's see.
I have a question.
Oh, thank you, Farah.
Yeah, sure, no worries. Is there any benefit to keeping the data controls on? You showed how to turn them off in ChatGPT, but is there any benefit? Do you lose out on something?
No,
No? Okay.
it just might be the case that feature doesn't let you.
Right. Okay, thank you. That's all.
All right. I think with that, that's a good segue. A couple of questions that came up, and maybe Chang and Katelyn, if you could clarify of the tools that you showed today, which ones were free versions and which ones were paid, so people have that context as they're thinking about the information delivered today. So Chang,
I pay for Claude and I pay for ChatGPT, and ChatGPT comes with Sora, so that's and then Claude for Chrome comes with Claude. I do not pay for NotebookLM. Claude and ChatGPT, they do have free versions. They probably put limits. I don't know where the limits are versus what I've showed today.
Perfect. Katelyn?
Yes, I also pay for Claude. I used prior to that, I used free ChatGPT and Claude, but it is quite limiting in like once you start to use it as an everyday tool, I think you'll hit the ceiling pretty quickly. And so that's why I sort of standardized for general use on Claude.
But I mean, even the extent to which you showed the functionality on Notebook LM, Chang, today, if
Yeah.
that is free, that's pretty amazing. All right. Any other questions from the audience?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious my question is a little bit different, not so technical, but I'm looking for this group of women here, and I like to hear candid feedback. I'm a consultant, so I'm pretty much on my own, right? I work with various organizations. My biggest challenge I feel is time. I'm a working mom, like probably many of you on the call. I feel like my days is back to back. I can hardly take a breath. I'm clearly understanding that I need to invest. Like if I were to hire somebody, right, there is a learning curve. You spend time, eventually it pays off. But what drives me crazy with all this AI stuff is I feel like I'm at the point right now in the beginning of the curve where it's like it takes me so much time to actually get on it versus doing it myself. And I like to know if any of you have tips about, how to kind of carve out that time, or if you have even a plan to like, okay, this is how you can ramp up, because I just feel like I like to be all day on ChatGPT. I just don't have the time. I'm on a lot of calls all day and that kind of stuff. So I don't know if anybody has been in that situation. It's like, okay, I was like you, a year ago or 6 months ago, and that's my biggest obstacle to using AI is just the time, and I feel bad about it.
Yeah. So Chang, maybe you can start, and then Katelyn, if you could weigh in.
Yeah, I feel the same. There are new products coming up every week that I want to try. And there's the doing the job, and then there's trying to spend more time to try to automate the job so I can then do the job, which just finds time that I don't have in a day. I'm also a mom and totally understand that too. I think you can chip away small use cases. This is why I chose to demo multiple products, so you have a flavor of what you might reach for, what might be possible in different products. And then if you have a small use case that come up, you can download the iPhone app. It can be on the go. Maybe you're like waiting in line grocery store and you thought of something and like, oh, let me just try to add it to a notebook LM app or something. Or let me just try this on ChatGPT and have it work in the background. And I think small use cases can quickly build up this bank or this knowledge base that you have of, oh, I can go for this use case. And over time, you find that you actually add up quite a lot of little things that adds up to quite a lot and can incrementally transform more and more of your day and more of your work.
Katelyn?
Yeah, I would just say I work with more like probably less sophisticated AI users than all of you. But some things that I would recommend is to like look at your daily life and those things that take time to do that you don't like doing or that seems to be like the thing that's slowing you down, and try to optimize for those. It might not be the smartest use of AI. But like maybe it's just correspondence, things like that, so that you can find ways to leverage AI in simple use cases that actually could create time for the more complex use cases. I also would say, I think Chang is really experienced in all the different tools and stuff like that, but if you're hurting for time, it might be useful to not need to find the most perfect AI tool for each task, and to just start working on it and iterating. So I think those are the 2 points that I would say, which may or may not meet your needs. Apologies.
All right. So one final question, folks, and then we should wrap up because we're very close to time. All right. And with that, I'm just going to share my screen again. So thank you all for joining and for staying with us through this workshop. It was an hour and a half, so a lot of really good content. So thank you to our workshop leads. Katelyn, thank you for walking through the experience of many people in the job market today, which is, between jobs, career transitions. So just talking about the practical ways of using tools to be able to help with that. And Chang, I think all the different tools that you showed, especially in the context of, trying to put our messages out there. And we think about this a lot as an industry in terms of clean tech and sustainability and clean energy. How do we get the message out there in a way that's easy to consume and understand and reaches a larger audience? Thank you for walking us through that. And thank you to the volunteers for today. So Lyle and Shadi, they were monitoring all the questions and curating them in the background. So really appreciate the effort there while the workshop was going on. And Julia, she's a volunteer who helped put all of this content together in terms of the presentations and the slides that you see. The content was, of course, provided by Chang and Katelyn, but Julia helped curate it and put it together. We will be sending the materials that we'll be sending after the workshop today we have a 2 to 3 page leave behind. We'll share some of the sample prompts as well. And of course, it is our intent to do this workshop, do one workshop every half year. So we have one plan for the first half and one plan for the second half of the year. But our ability to be able to deliver strong content for you means that we need to hear back from you. So we will be sending out a short survey. So please do fill it out and let us know what worked for you, what you would have liked to learn more of, and then we'll use that as an input to design our future workshops. So thank you so much. Thanks for joining, and see you for the next one.